Bring the panel back in. Jonathan Gilliam is a former Navy SEAL. Tom Ruskin is a former NYPD detective investigator. Lisa Daftari is the founding editor of MideastFaces.com. She is also a Fox News contributor. Tom, I want to start with you because you have experience with crisis situations in New York. What do you think of the way that this was handled? What do you think?
I think it's kudos. You have two hostage situations going on simultaneously. The commanders of each of those hostage situations have to be in total contact with each other because they had to be simultaneous actions on both sides. First, probably they cut off the power to the grocery store so that they couldn't hear what was happening in the other thing. And simultaneously, their TAC teams go in. And we don't know if the hostages in the supermarket were killed during the initial attack or by the police hostage people and SWAT teams going in and taking it over. Phenomenal job.
Yeah, some of the other details that we've gotten along the way, they were able to tap into the closed circuit television within the kosher market to see what was going on there. They were able to put devices on the roof of the printing shop or factory, whatever it was, in order to monitor what was going on inside there. Some folks who were watching along the way said maybe they should have waited until sundown in order to go in. What do you think?
I mean, if those people aren't on the scene, that they don't really know what's going on.
Right.
You know, looking in Australia, they waited, 16 hours, and then they ended up having to go in anyway. And you have to look at the situation and say, what is the possible outcome of this? These people were bent on dying today, and hand it to the French people, the French authorities. They granted them their wish.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is the way these things are going. You remember before 9/11, it was the way you did it when a plane was taken over. You just kept your mouth shut, and it normally landed. After 9/11, immediately that day, everybody realized this has changed, and this has changed.
One thing that makes me nervous is that they say, you know, they're taking a sigh of relief that it's over. I don't know that we know that. I mean, there's still someone at large. This is a situation that has unfolded over days.
Boston did the same thing.
Yeah.
Boston did the same thing.
Okay, I want you to hang on to those thoughts for 1 second because we're going to bring in Fox News' Catherine Herridge, who joins us now with more details. Catherine.
Well, Melissa, the more we learn about the two suspects, the more it suggests the high probability that it was directed by a foreign terrorist organization, at least in part by the group in Yemen known as Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. Within the last hour, the AFP is now reporting that one of the brothers, Sharif Kouachi, says that the operation in Paris was financed by the American cleric in Yemen, Anwar al-Awlaki. Anwar al-Awlaki was the first American targeted for death by the CIA and killed in 2011. But before that time period, he was considered the head of external plotting or external operations for the group, and he was, in effect, a talent spotter. He would select operatives to carry out attacks in Western Europe and then also against the United States. He was the person who met with the underwear bomber, Umar Farouk Abdul-Muttalib. That was in 2009 when that device failed. Now take this dot, if you will, and just bear with me as we connect it to other information. Fox News confirmed yesterday that the older brother, Saif Kouachi, traveled to Yemen in 2011 and went to an al-Qaeda training camp, and that at that time he sought to meet with the leadership of al-Qaeda in Yemen, which again would have been Anwar al-Awlaki, the person who was the talent spotter for external operations. And the final piece of data, well, not the final, there are two last pieces of data. Eyewitnesses at the massacre said the men claimed to be from al-Qaeda in Yemen. Within an hour of that attack, a series of tweets were sent. We have obtained them here at Fox News, and they're being reviewed by investigators. They come from a Twitter handle that is associated with al-Qaeda in Yemen, and they seem to suggest foreknowledge of the massacre. They've taken images from the scene in Paris and then superimposed upon them the image of the American cleric Anwar al-Awlaki, as well as Samir Khan. Samir Khan was from North Carolina and was responsible for the propaganda magazine from that group in Yemen called Inspire. And I know you've been following this closely. In the March 2013 edition, Al-Qaeda in Yemen, through this magazine Inspire, called for the assassination of the editor and the cartoonist at this magazine. So as you look at that wealth of information, a lot of dots are connecting to this group in Yemen and this idea that the brothers were directed by a foreign terrorist organization, Melissa.
Catherine Herridge, thank you so much for your terrific reporting. We really appreciate that. Let me go back to my panel really quickly to get quick reaction to that.
To Catherine's report, it ties all to the United States. You have 2 Americans who have become radicalized going over there. Al-Awlaki was killed by an American drone, and the U.S. government was criticized at the time for killing an American with a drone strike and not capturing him and taking him into custody. It just shows how close these nations are becoming and how the terrorist network is spreading throughout the world, to Jonathan's point.
And I'll piggyback on what you said, and how many Americans actively are going over to Yemen, to Syria, to Iraq with American passports. What can they learn there? How can they be radicalized? And how can they come back? My second point is to look at how social media is playing into all of this.
Yes.
You don't even need to leave your home, and you can be radicalized. Third point in all of this, we very quickly, and I've heard the buzz, talking about poverty, talking about unemployment, playing a role in these 2 boys becoming radicalized and carrying out these attacks. That's a very dangerous road to go down. Whether we talk about psychological evaluation.
You think it's correct, or you think it's incorrect to link that? Because we've heard that today, people linking the high youth unemployment rate to this disaffection.
If we correct poverty across the globe and we eradicate unemployment totally, you will not get rid of terrorism.
Okay, all right, we've got to go. 3 terrorists dead, but not before claiming more lives. Now the manhunt for the suspects still on the run. Our coverage continues right after.